It's Thursday, and you know what that means. It's going to be time for the latest live weekly event from Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown this week. We do have 6-cylinder lovers, valid up until the 30th of April, a day later than usual with the patch update yesterday, guys, covering off this week's live weekly event just one day later. But this time out, it is time for 6 cylinders. We're putting 6-cylinder cars in the spotlight for fans of their impressive power. A mechanic emote and another sticker. It's the usual rewards, guys. That hasn't been changed with the latest patch, but you know what? It is what it is. Let's take a look at the races. Starting off over here at Pock we are at Pock Grand Prix, a 5.8 mile 3-lap dry asphalt race in the Maserati MC20 or the Lotus Evora GT430. Two cars we've used in the channel before, two cars we quite like. And that's going to be one hell of an interesting race, whether we choose the 430 Evora or the MC20 Maserati. Over to the second race, we have got Drift King, a 5.2 mile 2-lap circuit race, which is of course once again clear and on asphalt. It's dry. M4 competition or the Nissan GTR R35. That feels like it's going to be a massive imbalance between the two cars. If it was a drift competition, the M4 will absolutely annihilate it, but if you've driven the M4 in game before, you're going to know how lively, how leery, and how much that thing smokes up the rear tyres. It's probably going to be a clean sweep there for the Nissan R35 GTR. And then lastly, over here on Hong Kong Island, we do have Turbocharged. Mercedes 300 SL or the Jaguar D-Type, a 4-mile sprint. Again, it's dry and it's on asphalt. Fantastic. We've got a full dry week of races here on Hong Kong Island. In the 300 SL or the D-Type Jaguar, it's going to be obviously a classic car race. Pick your poison for that one. Be interesting to see what times do turn up on the leaderboards. But we'll kick things off today in the Maserati MC20 and obviously head on over into the first race for today. So yeah, we're going to tackle head on the Maserati MC20 versus the Lotus Evora 430 race, and it's a case that's just going to be pick your poison, guys. Which car do you prefer? I've kind of got both, so I may actually visit this race with both cars, maybe not into today's video. So we'll kick it off with Pock Grand Prix, the MC20 versus the GT430. It's 3 laps, it's dry, it's asphalt. Let's get into it. So one thing we didn't actually touch on before we came into the racing, all 3 races today have no restriction for RP. We can come in here, we can have as much fun in the cars as we wish, no restrictions. It's going to be a blast today, guys. We're going to start things off in the MC20 with no RP restrictions. This thing is fully maxed out. We're probably not going to be the quickest. First time I've kind of tried to do live commentary over the top of racing, so it's going to be interesting to see just how well we do manage to do. Can I multitask this one? Coming up the hill to start off with, coming off the throttle, we knew there was going to be a little jump there. We should know this map by now. Maserati quite stiff on the road. Yeah, we kind of want to come off the throttle over some of those jumps, backing off just a little bit, coming around the long right-hander into the left-hander on the wrong side of the road. As we know, there's not going to be any traffic, so we can keep it here on the right-hander, pick our braking zone, as we know we're going to be cutting down to the left here, slightly braking ourselves, missing second gear, dropping down to first accidentally, but we're doing all right. And again, we know this bit of the track fairly well by now, cutting through the shrubs there, and if that has been patched in Season 3 with that latest update, that's good. That's exactly what we want to see, cutting through the shrubs, and it doesn't feel like we're at a dead stop. Fantastic so far. Nice, quick, straight downhill here. We know we can cut over the track just a little bit here, not got as much confidence in the MC20 as I have had with the Lamborghini Huracan. Yeah, I've kind of done that race one too many times. This time out, of course, we do cut down to the left here instead of going up the hill, so adding a little bit extra onto the track, I don't mind it at all. Round the right-hander, back end, just stepping out there on the MC20. Once again, lifting just as we come up to that hill, cutting through the shrubs once again. Good to see those ones not slowing us down on a dime. It's exactly what we want to see happen. The back end is quite lively on this Maserati. It's not as planted into the ground as I would like it to be. Can we hold Yeah, we can hold it round the left-hander, pick our braking zone once again, a little touch of the handbrake down into the right-hander, just managing to catch the checkpoint, and we get downhill. So it's good to see that we have now, or we are now able, sorry, to cut over the road, touch the shrubs, and not come to a dead stop. It's going to be interesting with the patch here if we are going to have these same effects with some of the delivery missions, of course, touching onto some of the shrubs, the leaves that hang over the road. Yeah, it kind of nerfs the overall rewards, I think is the best way to articulate that one, the rewards that we're going to get from the delivery mission. So fingers crossed those hitboxes, as it was mentioned, have now been fixed completely, and we're going to be seeing, you know, a much more fair, much more balanced wall riding nerf essentially in game. That's kind of what this has all been put in place for. Taking out, there we go, actually that was a good representation, taking out the little plant pot there. Now obviously last week we were over in Ibiza with one of the races, hitting a plant pot, it would bring you to a dead stop. We've just hit a plant pot there and we blasted through it, and that's the way it should be in reality. I like that. Hopefully we have now seen the true balance of the wall riding nerf. Oh wow, lost the back end just a little bit there. The gears do not feel balanced at all in this thing, so I don't know what happened with the tune. So there's a little bit of work to do with this tune on the MC20. The only other thing I would actually mention here is the exhaust note is so quiet. I'm actually missing this thing hitting the rev limiter, but we'll push forward, get through the rest of this race, downhill, fully send it, there we go, fully sent round the last couple of corners, cross the start finish line there. What kind of time have we managed to set? Well, we've now obviously achieved the first 10 points. This week we will require 100 points, and that's 10 race wins. 2 attempts, or 2 wins of every event this week, guys. It's not hard. 10 race wins is all that is required. And interestingly, we do have Roman Pierce at the top of the leaderboard. A little bit of a kick over there towards the Fast and the Furious. Roman Pierce at the top of the leaderboard so far. I like to see that kind of thing. Congratulations on that. We've done a 3:26. That is not a good time for, well, it's a first attempt, but that is not a good time overall. But what we can see here is a mix between the Lotus Evora GT 430 and the MC20 Maserati. This is going to be a bloody good attempt for anybody to get up to the top of that leaderboard. It's going to be tight, it's going to be close, it's going to be fiercely competitive. Already 309s on the board from Roman Pierce and GR Picuvius. Then it comes down to the 314s, the 315s, and so on. That's going to be such an interesting race. It's great to get into that race with no RP restriction. I will be revisiting that race, maybe even checking the difference between the MC20 and the Evora GT430. Now, one other cool thing I do want to kind of note for this week, we're obviously over here at Pock Lam, and where the races are kind of set in this week's event, well, they're at the opposite sides of the map. Coming over to this next one here, the Drift King race, well, it would take ages for us to drive here, and what every race this week has done is actually put us right beside a spawn point. Quarry Bay meeting point will be the quick spawn for Drift King, and we come down towards the Turbocharged race. Well, quick spawn over towards Tai Tam meeting south. I like to see this. It makes everything a lot quicker for us to do. Delete that GPS. Let's quickly fast travel over to this race. Now, that might just be something small and something media that it wouldn't really matter to many people, being able to fast travel quickly to some of the races on the map. But for me, it's something I want to see. I don't want to be driving for ages if we're just coming in to blast through some of the races. So it's actually been quite good to see that, you know, the devs have maybe thought about that. There is quick travel between races 1, 2 and 3 here on Hong Kong Island. We're going to push over to the second race today. We're going to push over to Turbocharged 4 mile clear sprint race in the Mercedes 300 SL or the Jaguar D-Type. Always, guys, I would be using the D-Type, but to keep things different, we're going to jump into the Mercedes for today's race. So for this race, guys, I am of course in the 300 SL. I do not have a tune for this car. I've never built one. It is just in the stock tune. But as we mentioned coming into it, all performance parts are fitted to this, as we've got some leaves spawned at the start line. That's pretty cool to see. They fell off the tree. I like that one. So we're coming in with a fully upgraded 300 SL with no tune. So again, this might even be another one of these races we want to come back and revisit time and time again. I like so far what they have done this week. The fact that it's all dry races. Yes, it is still good to have wet races. It gives us a bit of a challenge. But not every race has to be wet, especially here on Hong Kong Island, where it feels like it just rains constantly. So yeah, some sunny, dry races in some, well, a different variety of 6-cylinder cars. I'm a big fan of this one so far. The content I've seen so far, the MC20 versus the GT40, now the 300 SL against the D-Type Jaguar. This feels like it's going to be one of, if not the best live weekly events so far. Might be a hot take, guys. Give me your thoughts, your comments down below in the comments section, essentially. What do you think of this week's live weekly event? From what I've seen so far, this is an absolute banger. We know we were going to take some air there. I could see that one happening before we even took it. Losing the back end a little bit, touching a curb. So with this thing being lowered, or basically on race suspension, maybe want to keep away from some of these curbs. But one thing that is still standing out to me right here, the hitboxes have been fixed. Now that should be obvious, that is actually what the patch was for yesterday. Apologies, that is what the patch was for yesterday. But I'm not being slowed down where normally we would have been, touching some grass, touching some leaves essentially. It does feel like a lot of these hitboxes have been rectified, and it was a big issue in game. What we're actually going to do, we're going to test it out here. We're going to try and take out a lamppost, or maybe even try and touch a wall at some point if we get given the opportunity. Here we go, we can hit this bus stop. Yeah, they're not slowing us down to an abrupt stop, taking out the little bus stop shelter thing there. So that's good overall. Maybe we touch a tree here. Do you know what? I think that's a lot more balanced than what it should be. Or what it was previously, sorry. That, for me, if that has been the balance change, that's a huge improvement. Maybe we could try and get a lamppost. Like me on the channel, I like to hit a lamppost, and the one time I want to, I couldn't find one. Taking out a lamppost there, yeah, big improvement. I'm a big fan of that one. It's obviously going to kill our time here. Running through a bush, massive upgrade. So managing obviously to dust off the second race, get the next 10 points on the board, up to 20 now. If you guys are good at maths, you would have knew that one already. And again, we've got the usual culprits towards the top of leaderboard. Vince, Paku, Christoph. Fantastic to see. Great times on that leaderboard so far. You can see I'm almost 20 seconds off the pace there. Not concentrating because, like I mentioned, guys, it's the first time kind of trying to do live comm over the top of actually playing at the same time as, you know, recording. It's not something I tend to do too often. It's not the way I like doing the content, but I thought I'd give it a little bit of a go today. There is a lot of room for improvement there, but overall, a fantastic race. And lastly, we're going to jump into the Nissan R35 GTR. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be much of a balance between this race, the R35 GTR, and the BMW M4 competition. Got both cars, both fully maxed, both have been tuned at some point. The M4, when you start tuning that thing up, guys, it just spins up the rear wheels. Right now we're in the R35 GTR with slick tyres in the rain, and it actually still performs fairly well. So I don't think it's going to be much of a balance of a race, this one. I do think, you know, it's going to be a bit of a mixed match here. Nice power slide there with the R35 as we fittingly head on over towards a race called Drift Master or Drift King, or some Drift King it is indeed. There we go. We are here, Drift King, a 2-lap circuit race. It's clear, it's asphalt. R35 GTR versus the M4 competition. And key again here, guys, no RP restrictions. I love this. Opening up the restrictions, or basically there is no restrictions, and we can jump into the R35, have this thing fully maxed out, have an absolute blast of a time rallying this thing around the track and wiping the floor with the BMW M4. So there we go. It's actually a grid dominated by GTRs. It is dry, which is a good thing. You may be able to find a tune, a balance for that M4. I just think this Nissan GTR is going to wipe the floor with it launching off the line ludicrously quickly. Of course, 4-wheel drive launch, all the power behind it that needed to be. Down into turn 1, very unstable into turn 1. That's on me, that wasn't on the car. Distracted by trying to talk to you guys whilst actually trying to race. But we've already created a huge gap to the rest of the AI, nice and tight into the first couple of corners, getting this thing stopped. Yeah, we actually stop all right, through the right-hander, over the tram lines, I think that was there, under the freeway section. Get ready for this left-hander, pick our braking zone. Can we cut across the track? We can, and the railings, okay, a bit of a balance there to the metal railings on the side of the track. They do slow us down, but not to a dead stop. I think what they've done with that patch update for the wall riding nerf balance, as they kind of articulated it, that's good. I think that's a very good balance change that they have done overall. I'm I'm very happy with that one. Like I mentioned previously before, I don't want to be the guy that moaned that, you know, wall riding wall riding was a thing in game, and, you know, it needed to be nerfed. We got a nerf, and nerf was OP, and we moaned about it. I was never going to be that guy. But what they have done by balancing the nerf here, I think it's a huge improvement, a very good improvement overall actually. I'm very, very, very happy with what they have done. I hope you guys are too. If you found issues with it, let me know in the comment section. We can obviously pass it on to Alex down in Discord especially, and we can pass it over to them to say, you know what, this still needs to be addressed. But the race itself, we're still lap number 1. I actually thought we were finished that already. GTR absolutely wiping the floor here with the rest of the AI. It does seem like the AI don't tune the cars the same way we do, fitting the parts etc. as we cross into lap number 2 there. So there is obviously going to be a huge mismatch, a huge imbalance between our own cars and the AI cars. They're not upgrading to the same spec we are, so there's not going to be much of a challenge of a race. As we've seen there, 20 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack. Oh, there we go, crashing into a wall. If we actually bounce off that wall, usually that would bring us to a complete halt. So I'm actually very happy with this balance of the nerf that's kind of took place there. It seems like things are changing, guys, which is a good thing. Back to the race though. Oh, I thought we were going to lose. I thought we were actually going to roll the car over the curbs, and we could see we actually came up onto 2 wheels, but we managed to keep it on all 4s into the braking zone. Can we cut through? Oh, there we go. We do actually manage to roll it this time, but yeah, we're back on all 4s quickly. Not used to this. This is a proper challenge, trying to talk to you guys whilst doing the race without being too comfortable. I do apologise, and I hope you appreciate what I'm trying to do here, guys. Trying to, you know, do a different way of these live weekly events. We'll see if this does continue. Into the big sweeping right-hander here. Can we carry some traction round here? We certainly do. Keeping it in 3rd gear, uphill. Not quite moving up into 4th yet. Not quite concentrating enough to be able to maximise the amount of grip we've got there. But pulling uphill in 4th gear. This thing's absolutely no trouble working uphill through the gearbox, up into 5th gear, round the right-hander, taking out our mandatory lamppost, losing our momentum. Not the best effort, but we do complete off race number 3 in the GTR. Where of course we do get the 3rd set of points. We are now up to 30 points on the leaderboard of the possible 100. It's going to be so easy to claim the rewards for this week, guys. Where again we're going to be expecting a fantastically competitive leaderboard. Asai Yunon 249, Jason 250, Vince 250, Paku 253, Roman Pierce 254. Fantastically close leaderboard already at the top. We're down there at 312, but like I said, we weren't really trying all too hard, which is fine. We can be forgiven. Yeah, we're going to be coming back to that race. It feels like we've got a lot of work to do this week, guys. But as a whole, that's the first 3 races for this week's live weekly event. Fantastic races, I'm sure you guys will all agree. Let me know in the comments section which cars you've chose to use first and foremost. It does look like it's going to be a hit or a miss, you know, which car you prefer to use for this weekly event. I'm going to be coming back here because those 3 races so far, even the classic race, I think you're going to find a lot of people coming back to them because they were absolutely fantastic. I have to say, I've said it a couple of times before, but I do think that that may actually be the best live weekly event so far. 6-cylinder racing, which is good. You know, quite an eclectic mix of cars, whether, you know, you had a choice of 2 essentially over every race, which is pretty damn obvious. It was a good balance of cars, a good choice of cars, a good balance of tracks, again a good choice of tracks. I am very happy with this week's live weekly event. Not quite checking out Ibiza yet, we're going to do that in the next video, guys. Kind of pushed for time today, hence the idea of doing the live audio over the top of gameplay recording, which is fine, something different. But tomorrow's video we'll have a look at the races over on the Ibiza map, and then we'll come back here and we're probably going to attempt some competitive times at the tracks we've already got. It's going to be hard to pick which ones we want to choose. It does feel like all 3 races on Ibiza, on Hong Kong, sorry, I'm going to be coming back and trying to set competitive times on, because those races felt absolutely fantastic. As I go off track once again, slick tyres in the Hong Kong rain. It's not ideal, is it? But we'll leave it there for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Please do smash that like button and consider subscribing, and of course stay tuned for more updates on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown.